I won. Honestly, I feel so relieved and so happy and so excited for myself that I just can't even, because I did not think that I would be able to win, considering this is my first time around and I have never ever written that many words in that amount of time structurally or anything like that before, so pat me on the back. I finished NaNoWriMo off at 50,200 in some words, which I hit on November 28th, I believe. I know I said that I wanted to still continue to write every day November, but the past 2 days I've just not been into it. I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm coming down off the nano high, but I decided to give myself a little bit of a break, so that's what I did. So this is going to be a sort of a wrap-up video. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the challenges I faced and what I learned overall about the entire experience. There were a couple of challenges I faced on top of the most obvious of which being, just writing so many words in such a short amount of time, but I was also kind of rusty from the get-go writing-wise. It had been such a long time since I had started something brand new that it took a little bit to get into it. And the beginning of my story itself started off slower than I had anticipated. The pacing was just off. It was weird. I wasn't even entirely sure how I wanted the story to start. I was kind of jumping back and forth between two different ideas, and it just so happened, I guess I picked the wrong one. So things started off a little bit slow, and that, just made things a little bit rocky for me. For around the first 2 weeks or so, I definitely sweated the small stuff. I overthought a lot of scenes. I think part of me was trying to edit as I went, because I got stuck a lot on making things perfect, or if something didn't seem right, I would sit there and think about it and rewrite it, and I just couldn't really move on. Again, I was definitely not in the mindset of a first draft writer. Even though I knew that's what this was and I tried to prepare myself for it, actually getting down to it was definitely easier said than done. I also ended up doing something that I didn't want to do and that I kind of already subconsciously knew I would, and that was falling off the outlining bandwagon. So I have a rough outline, okay? That's what I'm kind of loosely going off of while writing this, but at the same time, what I had planned was after every day or every couple of days or so, I would sit down and fill in a more template style outline, which was going to serve as like the actual first draft outline. I'd be putting in there what actually happens throughout the book, and in theory making things easier for myself later on when I would need to edit and rewrite and move things around and so on and so forth. However, again, I think day 15 was the last day that I actually touched my outline template thing, so that's just gonna make more work for me later, but at this point, what are you gonna do? But all in all, those were just some things that I didn't prepare for, or that I did prepare for and just didn't follow through on. But that's what NaNoWriMo is all about, making yourself a better writer, and I will just note to do some things differently for next year. Now for some things that I did right and make me glad that I did NaNoWriMo. First of all, outlining for me was definitely the way to go. Even though I did end up moving some stuff around and I deviated from my outline more as we went along, not by much, but just added scenes here and moved things around there. Overall, outlining saved me a lot of trouble. In the sort of research department, there were multiple times in the story when if I hadn't put so much in my outline, I would have to stop and look some things up. So I definitely did right by myself by looking things up and planning beforehand, so I wouldn't have to stop nearly as much as I had to. I have to admit, in the beginning I was a little bit nervous that I didn't have enough story, content, things happening, character development, and all that kind of stuff. But by the time I hit 40,000 words, I realized how many layers I have, and definitely a lot more going on than I had realized. I think that was just because it was difficult for me to judge the pacing just going off of my outline alone, and once I started writing, getting a feel for it and all of that, it worked out in the end. Past me seemed to know what she was doing, so. I'm also really impressed with myself that I fell back into the writing habit so quickly. I definitely started to notice by week 3 that I was writing faster and it wasn't a struggle to write more. At that time, I had learned to let the little things go and being like, it's okay if this sucks now because later on, when you come back, you can fix it. And it didn't even hurt to write on days I didn't feel like writing. I wasn't forcing myself to because it's something that I enjoy. It's just, those days where you're slower and you just feel like procrastinating. What really got me through those days and to get to writing was that I had a goal, so I had an incentive to write, and writing on the days where I especially didn't feel like it just helped me to establish better writing habits, which I know I talked in one of the vlogs about. I really believe that using NaNoWriMo as a tool to become a better writer and a more consistent writer is a great way to get back into shape. And finally, I came to like vlogging every day or every other day when I didn't miss a day. Before November, I was putting out a video maybe once a week, if that. And that was mainly because most of my videos, or the ones that I really liked doing, had to do with big milestones for Thick as Blood. Like doing my book cover and getting my proof copy and the release date and things like that. Like, they were just good ideas to me. I didn't really know what to make any other videos about, because there are tons of great authors on here who give really good advice, who have way more experience than I do. And I just plainly don't feel comfortable talking about things that I'm not really good at or things that I don't know that well, especially as a way of giving advice. You know, I like to talk about things that I know, things that I've experienced, and that's what this channel has been for me. It's just a personal experience journey. But I like the vlogging. I like the little updates and things like that. Now that I've published one book and I'm working on another, I'm starting to see habits in myself and patterns and things that I'm slowly starting to realize about myself as a writer. Hopefully in the future, coming up with video ideas isn't going to be that difficult for me, now that I do have some experience under my belt. So now I'm just going to show you real quick my finished NaNoWriMo spread in my bullet journal that I showed at the very beginning of the month, and then we're going to call it a day. Here is my filled-in NaNoWriMo spread. I really like it. I think it's going to be fun to look back on this. I don't know if you can tell, but I did write on each of the book spines. There's 50 books in total. I put little titles on each of them, and I also did the numbers. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so forth, all the way to 50, which I don't know why I didn't draw in or color in this book, but this is a fun way for me to keep track of my word count for the month. And overall, NaNoWriMo was a really great experience for me. I learned a lot about myself that I didn't know that I knew, and I established some good habits along the way, so I learned something, which I think is one of the most important things to take away from this whole experience. So thank you for watching this video, and if you participated in NaNoWriMo this year, I hope you won, or you at least set out what you wanted to do, and even if you didn't, pat yourself on the back anyways, because it's an insane challenge and something crazy to put yourself through for an entire month. I hope you have a great day. Feel free to check me out. Links will be down below, and I'll see you later.